Hi, everybody. We welcome you to another special edition of the Mustang Report. I'm Chris Sylvester. Today, I'll be sitting down with Cal Poly men's basketball head coach Mike DeGeorge, and it was announced not long ago that Mike DeGeorge would be taking over the Mustang men's basketball program, and he joins us now here inside a place that he'll be very familiar with not too long from now. Coach, appreciate you taking some time. I know it's been a busy couple of weeks as you got hired and you figure out your move out this way, and you try to put together a staff, you try to put together a roster. As I say to you, head coach of the Cal Poly Mustangs, Mike DeGeorge, how does that feel, and does it feel real for you yet?
It feels great, and it is starting to feel real. When I wasn't here full time, it was not feeling real, but to get here and be able to meet people in the community and get connected to the players, start putting a staff together, it's definitely starting to feel real.
Well, we recently introduced you at a press conference inside the Performing Arts Center, and a lot of support from other head coaches throughout Cal Poly athletics. What made Cal Poly an attractive destination for you during this process?
Well, if you just look at the whole package, certainly the academic piece, the opportunity to be at a school of this caliber in a community that's has this much to offer, and obviously in a state that has great basketball, and so all of those were important pieces to me. And then when I came on the interview, just meeting the people and just seeing the quality of their character and getting to know the administration was really what sold me.
Before we dive into the future of this program and the expectations, or at least the hopes for the coming years with Cal Poly men's basketball, I want to know a little bit about you. You're a Midwest native, I believe, from Wisconsin, and this whole basketball coaching thing is just pulling you further and further west. You can't get much further west than here on the beautiful central coast of California. But you spent the last 6 years at Colorado Mesa, before that at a few Division III programs. Take me through what led you to become a college basketball coach, and the journey it took you to go from D3 now up to the Division I level.
Yeah, just as a little kid, my dad was a college football coach at a small college, and I remember I played in my first organized basketball game in sixth grade, and I thought I was going to play in the NBA before that. But even as a sixth grader, driving home in the car, I think we got killed, and I was not the best player in our sixth grade team. And I was like, it might be pretty cool to do what my dad does, but I just would love to do it in basketball. And honestly, since then, it was always kind of the goal to be a college basketball coach, and to be here and in this opportunity is pretty special.
I spent the last 6 years in Grand Junction, Colorado, at a Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference school, Colorado Mesa. Now, when you got there, they had come off consecutive sub-500 seasons, and you quickly rebuilt that program back into a contender. 5 NCAA tournaments in your 6 seasons there. You were just in the Sweet 16 here a few weeks ago. What was that build like at Colorado Mesa, and do you see some parallels to what you did over there and at some of your previous stops and the task ahead here at Cal Poly?
Yeah, I would say there are similarities to each of the spots that I've been at and some differences, and that's part of the experience, and it's part of the opportunity that I'm excited about, is that it's another opportunity to grow and kind of learn about a new school and find. That's what the part of that challenge is finding that way through to a successful route here, just like we were able to do at the other places. But there's certainly lessons learned at each stop that will be meaningful. The different styles of coaches that preceded me impact the returning players, and those were all different, and this is different too. And so you do kind of get a sense of some of the things the players are going to really be good at, and some of the things they're going to need some help with growing in based on those past experiences. And then the main thing I've learned is that your values stay the same, basketball stays the same, but you got to learn about how to be successful at each university, which is going to bring different challenges. And the academic piece here and navigating some of the major programs and kids having to decide on the front end what major they want to go into is going to be new, and we'll have to learn from the other coaches that have had success here, and there's so many that have, really about how to navigate that.
I enjoyed your press conference earlier, and you obviously detailed your experience and your vision for this program. One thing I found interesting, because we've gone over the numbers that your team put together from Colorado Mesa last year, tops in the country in effective field goal percentage, the third most three-pointers made in Division II, a top 20 offense, more than 85 points per game. And that's obviously an exciting brand of basketball that Cal Poly fans ought to be happy with moving forward as we inch closer to your era coming up later this year. But one thing you mentioned that I thought was interesting and kind of refreshing to hear, despite all of that success on the offensive end, you call yourself a defensive coach. So what's going to be the staple of this program under Mike DeGeorge?
Well, first off, defense wins championships, and you got to have toughness, and defense brings toughness to your team. And so, most people who come to watch us play are most impressed with how hard the guys compete. And, we've always been kind of a lockdown defensive team first. And then, we've continued to embrace the modern game, and we've continued to play faster and really find an offense that fits the pieces of the modern game that analytics tell you win at the highest rate. And so, I do think that we want to be great at both ends, and we want to have a great culture and all that. But in order to get on the floor, my assistant always tells guys that, he's been around me long enough to know that if you're not going to defend, you're not going to get on the floor. On game night, he's going to play the guys that he trusts defensively. And that's very true. And so guys got to be ready to execute our defense and be able to play at a really high level.
Speaking of roster, I know there's some guys from last year's team that are still making some decisions on their future here at Cal Poly. How steep of a learning curve is it going to be for guys that were not previously in your system and trying to learn it and trying to perfect it before the season?
Yeah, honestly, part of our system is that one of the analytics that the NBA has, they have this category that they call random, and it rates out as the highest points per possession of any other category in terms of how people score. And so part of it is like a lot like pickup, where guys are very comfortable just being able to play to their skill set, and just with great pace and great ball movement and great cutting, guys get the opportunity to make plays in space. And so a lot of times once they stop holding the ball and pivoting and just and the ball sticking and you just get the ball moving, guys very quickly adapt to the style of play. It becomes very natural for them. But it is a big hurdle to get past holding the ball. Like our guys this year were like, I can't watch college basketball anymore because you guys have ruined it for us. Like everybody just catches it and dribbles and stands in place. And then they pass to the next guy and he catches it and dribbles and stands in place. And so, just getting used to the pace and the flow takes a little bit, but once they get down that, it becomes very natural. So I think the guys will adapt quickly.
I know you're still learning about this position and this university, but what's your recruiting philosophy? Maybe a little different this year joining the fold in early April, but how much are you going to utilize the transfer portal? How much are you going to look to get some freshmen signed in an earlier period and try to develop them over the course of a few years?
Yeah, our goal would be to bring guys in that are great fits for Cal Poly, and we will find them in lots of different ways. Ideally, we would like as many four-year guys as possible. We really believe in development. We've developed guys that were, either walk-ons for us or we were their only scholarship opportunity to start, and they ended up all region players for us. They really have embraced our concepts, and it's really allowed their games to take off. And we also think we evaluate a little differently than the masses do in terms of what we value. And so we know what we want within our system. And when we see those attributes, we don't care how they're ranked or how other people view them. And we've had a lot of success developing guys through that way. So we'll be looking for those fits anywhere we can find them. And it's just hard when you have to do as much as we're doing not to compromise. Like I keep having this thing like, well, maybe we should just take that guy because we need guys. And he's a good player, but he doesn't necessarily fit our system. And so, our goal would be just to try to stay true to who we are. And not compromise on our system and be able to find guys that are, a good fit for Cal Poly, a good fit for our system, and a good enough player to play in the Big West, which is a big ask for as many guys as we're going to need at this late in the process.
These are your new digs. How do you envision this place looking late February, early March next year as you hopefully get ready to compete in the conference tournament?
Yeah, it would be great to see large crowds and people embracing our style of play and us having some success on the floor that keeps people excited. But you just take one step at a time, and we'll see when those dominoes fall, and you just got to stay true to who you are and keep believing and really try to get the players to play with a lot of confidence. And when we're good enough to break through, we'll break through, and I know the community will definitely support when that happens. So hopefully it's some point in this next season.
Well, the new era of Cal Poly men's basketball is upon us. That's head coach Mike DeGeorge. Appreciate your time. Excited to have you here and look forward to seeing what you can build in the coming months.
All right. Thanks, Chris.